Scope of the project. So the length is 4 years. So the first year is till July next year, and then it's 3 years after that. So the first year is sort of the control year or the baseline data, and then the other 3 are the years that you do some changes. Some of you, especially that have been in the Girl Power project, will like to probably do some twigging straight away, and I'm in it, so I'll be doing that as well. So, but it's getting a baseline data so that we know what changes have worked and what changes haven't worked. Or, you know, how you twig them as you, it's not just the black and white of it, it's also the adoption and the adaptation of those practices that we really want to catch. So the outcomes and the co-contribution are really related. So the co-contribution is a standard percentage that MLA applies, and to cover this project, to make it easy, it's 1,250 per year or a 5,000 across the project. So that's what the participants need to put in. As a participant, and I expect this, I have to get at least double that, so I have to get at least $10,000 worth of outcome out of that during the 4 years, and pretty consequential, you know, not long after that, in terms of improved production with my heifers, their production and their calving. Weights, all that stuff, calving, all of the stuff that goes into that. Have I made that clear or have I made that muddy? Is that sort of clear? So your return on investment must, I would expect, if someone's going to put 5,000 into a project, you need to get 10 back. All projects that I've been involved with, I've always got twice what I've put in. All the government has put in. So that's just, I think that's what you need to do. Inputs is the data collection, which we'll go through when we look at the schedule. Yep. Do you want to add to that, Joan?
This one's always pretty real, like the known unknowns. The PDSs that I've been involved in, I've tried really hard to keep them quite narrow and focused because of project creep, and that can undo a lot of projects. Given that we've had Girl Power and it's been quite focused, this next iteration with Materix does give people the opportunity to look at a few different things because it's based on your property. And we've heard from Libby this morning a whole raft of different things that we can look at. We've looked at early weaning, we've looked at using different bull ratios, we've looked at supplementation, segregation. So there's a whole raft of things that are available. We're all different, and I don't think any one of us here can answer that question for anyone else. It is a bit of an internal question to ask yourself when you're driving home. And I would give you the context of trying to answer that question of what was the one thing or one or two things that you've heard today, whether it be from a presentation or from a conversation, that have made the hairs on the back of your neck or made your tummy turn to go, hold on, that's something that's possibly important for my business and for my family or for my herd. It may not be the activity that you go on with, but it's probably a good spot to start because obviously it's lit something up in you. It might not be where we get to, it might be a couple of things that we do before we get there, because some of this stuff, it's actually changing the paddock between our ears before we change the paddock on the ground. And the only way that we can really change the paddock up between our ears is by looking and listening and talking and testing and asking questions and working through some of that stuff. And it sometimes, it can be a little bit of a challenge because sometimes you don't quite get to where you need to be, but that's okay because as soon as you take that next step, then the next one will start to reveal itself and then you can start to go down different loopholes. I think what was a really important point that was raised this morning, and I thank Robert for this, is that what Girl Power provided him and his family and business was a whole lot of learnings that he could then start to bring in and go on from there to be able to then go forward. And I'd be reasonably confident if you spoke to the other participants in Girl Power that they've all had some wins. They've been exposed to something that was a bit different. They've been in a safe enough environment that they've been able to try it. and to be able to build on it from there. And this is the beauty then of Materix, is to be able to then build on. So even if you weren't involved in girl power, there's still the ability to take on what was tested and tried in girl power to be able to then try it in your business, in your land type, on your production systems. So what are you going to learn? You're limited on how much you're going to put into it, how much you're going to be involved, and how much you're prepared to be uncomfortable. Because really we don't learn while we're comfortable. The only way that we can really learn is by making mistakes, which involves being uncomfortable and going forward from there. So really the question possibly could be, how uncomfortable am I prepared to be? How to apply, I think basically talk to Robin.
Yeah, to how to apply it in...
Or how to apply it. Ruben, that was your one, isn't it? How do you apply to be a part of the project, or how do you apply the stuff on property?
How do you apply stuff on property?
Yep. No, that's okay. I wasn't... That's always a tough question. Again, it comes back to, I can't tell you how to run your property. None of us here can tell you how to run your property. I don't walk in your shoes. I don't have your bills. I have a different set of values and beliefs. What I can help is walk with you. And so when it does come to that, how do we apply on property? A lot of it is that trial and error. So how do we make it small enough that it's not too scary and not too expensive, but going to give you enough of a lead on whether this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing, or where it's going to fit. I think some of the other stuff in there is like, well, what are your business, where do you want your business to be? What are the things that you're looking to be able to do out of it? And how are this raft of potential techniques either going to get you closer to that, or are they actually going to take you away from that? And we don't want to be taking away. We want to be doing stuff that's going to get you to where you wanted it to be. So again, it's probably a bit that top one, is that it's, having those conversations with yourself and with your family to go, what are the things that are important? Where do we want to go? What were the things that grabbed me that I hadn't heard of, that sounded really interesting? And then how can we set it up to be able to trial it on a smaller area, or can we go and see someone that's actually been doing it and how they applied it, and be able to talk to everyone else here to be able to work on how we go applying it. There it is. Jerry's probably got some really good stats on the actual application of practice change and things. Yep. Did you want to?
Not at the moment.
Okay, good.
I do want to ask you to talk about, and Robert as well, in answer to Ruben's question, can you talk about how they will access the walking together bit? So will you be able to go on property? Will someone be able to go on property and look at the particular setup for them and say, well, if you want to do this, and this will be the one that Ruben chose, or whoever it is chose, we want to start here. How would we begin that? Will there be that sort of support? Here's the sort of steps that you would work through.
There is going to be a project officer, part-time project officer, that will do it. And in the first instance, the first basically property visit will be just all the basic stuff. And it's from there that we'll then learn, and from the next sessions in the field days, so we've got in this first year, we've got the chance to, what sort of things do you want to look like adopting? And again, there'll be more options for those, more options presented. And then at the end of that, in the first 12 months, we'll help you do all that data collection and all that setup and get all of that right. So you will? Yes.
And what form will the help take?
There will be someone who will come on property, probably 2 people will come on property.
So that's
the part-time project officer.
Say for the first 12 months,
yeah.
In terms of the data, someone will come to you and help you set up some system for gathering the data for this particular project.
Yeah. You've been everybody collects data slightly differently, so it'll be there, and okay, where are the gaps? What else do we need to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there'll be some, if you're right.
There'll be, yeah, different people have different gaps, I think. And that's the first thing is we need to sort of find out what they are. What data they're collecting and how, and then where do they want to go to, and then help fill that gap. And then we will present there's a lot presented today, and there will be others presented through the Zooms and the field days and all of that. So then you then look at all of that and say, okay, this is the sort of changes that I might want to try.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if I can then go to what Jane said to me, could I make a comment about, the sort of things that producers have told me in relation to practice change? For those people who have not made a practice change, or those people who have, there's been one significant difference. And I've tracked this over a number of years. Some people made a change because there was follow-up to an event that they went to, and they were able to apply it. And some of the people who don't do that are because, we got home, it's great stuff. We got home, but we didn't know how to use it in our system.
There was no network around you to support.
Yes.
That's what you need, that network to support around
Network
you and guidance.
Yes. Yep.
So when you run into a roadblock or something, you can, hey, what do you do here? How do we do this? Get some ideas and suggestions and solutions.
Yes. And the people who have the network that you're talking about, Bramo, they're the people who are making changes, and they're the most consistently making changes. There are people who will just go home and, Lachlan told me this when I was at his workshop the other day, I can go home and do it, because I reckon I can apply it. There'll be people who can do that, or they'll find it for themselves and they'll go and do it. But then there's the people, like the majority of us, that if we can get someone to give us the leads that we need to apply it, then we'll do it, and we'll do it readily. Because I don't think, in my experience, no one sort of doesn't want to do the work, but they just need to know how. And they just need to know the first few steps. And once they know those first few steps, they can start building their knowledge on how to do it. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, have we answered that question? Have we got another question?
Yeah, what's up there? We've done co-contribution.
Yep. Looked at the scope.
Look at the scope. Which other bits haven't we covered on scope, please?
Yes.
If you're thinking scope, Ramo, what else is there that hasn't been mentioned, please?
You left inputs, and then come back to inputs, you're going to say that later on.
Yep.
Well, if that's probably the time, we can do this handout.
That out.
So this is a handout, it's two-sided. First page gives a bit of a description, but probably the inputty side of things, there's a table on the back that will sort of show, the data. I reckon you've got one, because I see, yep, Jordan's going to need one. That's that one there. I see you had it printed out at home. So that's what we're going to be chatting about. And one for Lachlan. Might have to steal one back off Dana, just to... Do you want to talk through that? Seeing
We'll just we'll let everybody have a look, and then we'll go through that. That's next, isn't it?
I think so. I'd forgotten all about this section, so...
Okay. So, comment on what you just looked at? Yes.
More of a question, actually. These 50 observer producers, I'm wondering what their role is. And then did you have any for the one you just did now? Girlpower project, thank you. Are there any observer producers for that?
Yes. So the core producers are basically the people involved in the thing that are like participants and are doing basically across that graph over the 4 years. Observer producers,
That's all, like, what you mean by that is they'll collect some data, they'll decide on where they want to go to, and they'll keep collecting data as needs their growth.
yeah.
That's what that means. That's
So that, yeah, they're active participants in the project. The observer producers are more producers that come to some or all of the field days, but are not actually participating in the project. So they're observing the project rather than being involved directly in it. So some of those observer producers in the past have sort of not piggybacked, but done a bit of the changes that they've picked up at field days and at these sessions. Yeah, so the sessions are, the sessions are wide enough so that they're observers. So in terms of MLA, they want core, and then that observer is that wider group of people, and they can come from outside and all sorts of things. Yeah. Mm.
Any other questions, comments?
How are you guys going to measure any nutritional inputs that producers are adding, I guess?
Yeah, that'll all be recorded during the process about what are you feeding, what and approximate amounts and all of that. That needs to be recorded. Yep, that's part of what you'll be recording. Yep. Yeah. And where that changes too, because yeah. 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 And some of that stuff too. That we did a whole lot of stuff on Girl Power Project, and we'll be tweaking in that a little bit and getting advice from someone like Libby too to actually, the bits, we've got to get really focused on the data that we're going to use to make the decisions. And so much that, a lot of producers are aware that, sometimes we collect data because it's easy to collect or might be good to collect, but it's the data that drives the decision making. And the decision makings to improve that heifer performance.
It's got to be meaningful data, useful
Yeah,
data.
yes. And some of it's got to be processed so that it actually from the raw data to the meaningful data. Yeah, there's some processes that we need to go through to get that to that. Mm. Mm.
And I'm sure we're looking at 2-year-old joining.
It's assumed a 2-year-old, but there will be people that won't be doing that. So in the Girl Power Project, it was definitely 2-year joinings, but there may be in this one, there's actually, there was one producer in the last group that joined as yearlings. Yep. And we collected the data from that as well. So yeah, that's generally most of this area, it's as 2-year-olds. Yeah. Would you agree with that, Libby? Yeah.
Okay, something else that people would like to know or comment about?
Ruben, does it look too scary? I don't know whether it was presented similar last time, wasn't it? Yeah. I've tried to simplify, we've tried to simplify that data collection, and we'll probably try and tighten it again. But it's basically, will I go over that now or wait until we start? Okay, so, there's you can have a look on that. There's 3, we're trying to get it to 3 lots of data collection in a year, and the year is July to June. So the first one is the preg testing results and all of that pre-joining stuff, and it's all written there. So that's the first one, and that's where we are right now. So in this first 6 months, we just need all the active participants that will go on property, go through all of the bit of the gump in the background, the MLA gump, like an MOU and all that sort of stuff. And then there will be, and then collect all of that data that you already have on preg testing. And for some, they may not even have it. So that's where we'll start with that. And then early in the new year, it's your calving, issues going around with calving. And then and how those, relationship to preg testing into the paddock. And then the next one is the weaning. So, and the weaning and selection process of that after the bulls have been in, and then selection process between there and the preg testing, if there's any. So we're trying to get it into those 3 tranches. So I was told not to use that word, into 3 groups in a year, so that it's not, and then simplify that as much as we can after that first 12 months. Okay, this is the key bits that we need to drive this decision making.
So what kind of data are you looking at?
Just sheer numbers, like, preg test numbers, all that normal percentage stuff, weights and body condition scores. It's all written there. Weights, body condition scores. The tricky one, Libby, that I haven't articulated in this is the cow that's wet, that has just lost its calf and is probably preg tested in calf. Identifying her early enough. Well, often when you come through with weaning, there's or is she dry? Is she, is that when you're doing your first lot of when you're doing your not weaning, first, marking your cattle, is identifying those poor performers early enough. And I think that's where we'll need some, and that needs to go into that schedule as well. Because it's the decision making, I think it's the decision making in that 6 months from January to July. We can't, I think, I think that there's some tightening that can happen in there, don't you?
That's right. So this chart here, it's not a CRC chart. So this is looking from about after about a month when we first diagnosed. So 283 days is our average gestation period. So looking at around about that 200, we've already 250 days, and how we're starting to lose our pregnancy. So we've got a gradual loss.
So it'll be okay.
So we got a gradual loss sort of through the pregnancy. More of them happening in that first sort of half, and then after they get past halfway, they tend to be fairly safe until we get to calving, and then somewhere around about this calving point, we have a massive loss, of calves, and this is stuff that we struggle to do very, very much with. So this is where we've got, the failure to milk. It's calves that dehydrating and dying. Your calves that are predating, they're too weak to stand, they're not sucking, all those kind of things. And that's where it's really hard to do a lot with. So, the more interventions we can do in here and save this 4%, and even, that loss can be up to 10% in some, 10, 15, 20%, depending on if there's big problems going on. But on average, you're looking at, 4% loss within the pregnancy, and then another 10% loss after calving. So when we're losing our calves.
So that, in a nutshell, that's shade and water.
Yeah. That's the best thing we can do. Dog control, eagles, whatever it is. That's.
All others. In the first half, yeah, they can make sure.
No. And yeah, that's a very good point. We're talking about segregating these heifers off unless they've got grandma there telling them how to do it, and then we see it sort of in the human space. Particularly the Italians and Asians, they have multiple generations within the house teaching that young mother how to be a mother, and we're expecting these baby heifers. They're only
Teenagers.
They're only teenagers themselves to go out and learn to be a mum without any input from anybody else, and having those few older cows in that mob can teach them. Yes.
Paddock for, a heifer paddock where you calve them separately.
Yeah, so it's one of those double-edged swords. So we're there looking after them separately, but whether it's worth having, probably even just half a dozen older cows within that mob to help teach them how to manage it is.
And preferably ones in calf too.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to be in the same sink as those heifers.
It's the same as having weaners, Can't get some old cows, put them with weaners. That looks dear, doesn't it?
Yeah, or spade cows.
Good cows. Hey, blokes, you can't teach them, you can't show them everything. Females are the best, I will tell you that. And I agree, it's the only way it is.
We've just joined a mob a little bit early, so I'm going to experiment with those girls that will have a calf probably a month or two early and try and put them with my maidens.
Yeah.
So they'll have a calf on the ground, they're already doing it. More than, like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And they'll be separate, so you know which ones they are, and they'll have different coloured tags. And hopefully they, you know, then as the next ones come along, I'll go, oh, let's go join that crèche.
Yeah.
It's only small. That small kindergarten, we better join it. So I'm going to try that because exactly that, just the poor mothering. Just so that you know, I have been discussing throughout the development of this project with Anita Chang and Mark Trotter at CQU, and they're doing a lot of mothering research in the paddock, but they were saying that the results won't be through till next year or the year after, but once they do get that all that research will come to us. So yeah, and anyone who wants to be involved with some of the stuff, you know, they'll have what they've learned from that research that'll be made, you know, if anyone wants to trial that.
So I'm assuming that it means there's other data to be collected in relation to how cows are carved down.
Yeah, so you'll do the calving, you'll get your calving results in that second group. Just about to say tranche again. In that second group, early in the new year, where you take all your calving data. I'll just make sure I know the words. Where is it?
So we got something there.
Marking and counting calves. That's sort of January, February, March. Mostly. Some people will be a bit later, won't it?
That's not my understanding. We're not expecting people to go out and watch cows starve.
No, it's just no.
Do I put in? I got these heifers.
Yeah.
So there was 100 of them.
Yeah.
They're in a separate paddock, so I put in 10
10
other cows who were pregnant
Right,
too.
that's okay.
Just so there's a track.
So there'll be a little bit. There's a fair bit on like long paddock and all of that sort of stuff. Also, when we go out, we'll find out where you're up to with forage budgeting. So there's a few different techniques that some people are doing. How do you want to do that? We need to integrate it with the dung sampling, whether you're doing that already or not. So they'll link through, and also, how current is your map? Because you can get A3 maps done for free currently at a DCQ. And probably the other NRMs. So we'll get that. So it's just a matter of getting that all up and seeing where you are up to with the forage budgeting. So there is there's some SAT stuff like SIBO Labs and Long Paddock and the other one. So we just need to see where everybody's up to what sort of training or, how we're going to get that done. Yeah. So it is actually, some training is actually in one of the later sessions for this. There was is it in this? No, it's not. But we were going to do body conditioning score in this one, but we'll be doing it in the next one. And I'll do some stuff with Future Bee for that. In a halfway.
That's right. So the people are already doing something.
Yeah.
So the idea would be to look at what you're already doing and see
Where the gaps
more needed or
fine tune.
sources you can use, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and whether you want to do more just for the paddocks that you're putting your heifers and your seconds in, which is a little bit, it's more than just the amount of grass on the ground, it's energy and protein. So there's that, and again linking to what you said earlier, what supplements you're already doing and all of that. So it's just meshing those together. And as I said, everybody's on a different, that mesh is different for everybody. So we just need to, once we get that clarified, it'll be sort of group sort of similarities, and then we'll work out how we can get all of that to work in this first 12 months. Does that make sense, Jane?
Well, this plan is supposed to start the 1st of July. We're always supposed to collect our preg test data.
Yes.
producers that, that pre-visit this year, but they haven't got data or haven't got data in the right format for the project.
Yes, so we need to find on the first property visit, which will happen before by the end of the year. We need to get that. What pregnancy data? What preg testing data have you got? Have you got any? And and try and align that. Yeah. And some of that will be a bit muddy. So then we'll go, okay, this is what we'll need to do for the next time.
Okay. Robert?
Here's the 100 heads or the 20 heads, is that following one that cohort right through? Or is that
Yes, so it's the same thing. So this 6 months we'll be trying to do your maidens and your second calvers, collect data on those two. For some that might be a bit hard, so that's what we do. And then we want your next lot of maidens and cohorts. So it's a rolling. You add one and drop one, add one and drop one, add one and drop one. Does that make sense?
And then those cohorts, you're readily able to cover cattle, don't you?
That's right.
It's not expected to keep them for 5 years.
That's right. Yes, they've got to go. Yes, and we just and we'll need to keep track of some of the decision making in that.
So if you were to think about any constraints that would be on people, they could or couldn't do something in relation to a group of cattle they were working with, a portion of their herd, are there any constraints? Like if I need to shift them onto agistment for some reason or other?
So there'll be moving of cattle will be an issue. People who trade a lot of cattle is this project is harder, but people are still trading cattle and still wanting to improve this.
And it can be incorporated?
Yeah, we'll just have to, try and get that to work. But it is a lot trickier. What else? What did you have before then? Leaving.
Sorry?
Forgotten. Yeah. So it is a bit tricky when they all, that thing, and that was one of the attrition aspects in the Girl Power project. 2 of the properties were sold.
Oh, when the properties were sold.
Yeah. So that becomes a bit difficult.
Are there traders? The people who sort of trade regularly in large portions of what they run? Okay, so we're doing all right so far.
Actually, people who continually join, it's not suited for project.
Well, there are people that are probably going to be in this project that continually join, but they preg test back into Windows. And the ones that aren't, so they preg test back into Windows and they've got a very strict on what they do, and then they sell at the back end of that.
I think those are really ideal.
And I do different things because I try and keep it close to it. So everybody does things differently.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and that's but you'll be looking to incorporate that.
That's right. Yeah.
People who are looking to improve their heifer.
Yeah.
Growing their heifer.
Yep.
Okay. Where are you up to in terms of information that you need to know? We're talking about AI, how that's been assist.
Sure. Well, I'll do a easy example. So I've got a ready-made table, assuming this is my data that I've collected from the yards. So I whip out my trusty phone, and the app that I use is ChatGPT. So you can use a free subscription, or you can pay for it. If you've got the free subscription, they only let you use like one photo upload every 2 or 3 months. There's a cost. Anything that's worth doing is got a cost. So I was going to snap a little photo of this picture, and I'm going to say to ChatGPT, please, because I always have good manners, convert this table to a spreadsheet, if I could type. So it will do its little magic thing. I'm sitting here thinking.
can't be too complex.
Oh, look, it can. It's still. It's not magic, actually. It's not gonna.
Step outside.
It's analysing, doing its thing.
It's a male.
All right. So now I've converted the table to a structured spreadsheet. You can download it here. And then I can click on that and it'll open it up in Excel. If I can do it on my phone. See, now it's now a spreadsheet that I can use. It hasn't done it perfectly. It's misinterpreted some of that data, but it's now an Excel spreadsheet that I can email, I can email to my computer, or I can open that app on my computer and it'll all be there. So I sometimes do this if I've got like a dog with blood results in 3 or 4 days. I'll take a photo from each day and say make this into a spreadsheet so I can see that. Rather than looking at that bit of paper and that bit of paper and that bit of paper to see how the blood counts change, it just puts it in a graph for me, so it's right there in front of my eyes. So it's really simple, simple and easy to use. Yeah,